fire, they want a piece of us. My oh my, when we...
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabella. I'm an author and digital creator, and welcome to my little space on YouTube. So today we are going to be discussing my quarter four, in other words October to December writing goals, and we are only specifically focusing on my writing goals for this video. So the day I am filming this is technically October 1st, but you won't be seeing this probably until like the second week of October. But anyhow, we are still going to talk about what my goals are for the next 3 months and what I want to try and accomplish before the end of the year. So 2024 has been such a chaotic year. I have changed my goals basically every month, and this time I had to really narrow it down to what I really wanted to accomplish or try to accomplish before the end of the year. So we have 5 main writing goals, and they are all kind of broken apart, and we're gonna just go through each of them, but we're gonna begin with the first 2, which are like the smallest amount of things inside. So Project B, you guys would have known that I have put this in almost all my goal videos by now. So for Project B, I really want to try and finish draft 1 because it is a project that has basically taken me this entire year to do, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm not inspired to write it. I don't know why I'm just struggling to write this draft, but I need to just get draft 1 done so that we can have something to work off. And then another project you would have heard me talk about a lot as well is Project Academia, and I am deciding that I don't really want to write this project as much as I thought I wanted to. So for me, getting like the completed first outline, which is the goal for the rest of the 3 months, is more than enough for me. If by next year I still decide I don't really want to write this book, we will kind of work from there. But right now this book is kind of a back burner project for me, and I just want to have the completed first outline because it will just help me kind of figure out where we want to go. If I really am struggling with the outline, then maybe it's telling me that this isn't really the right project for now. But also, Project Academia is an academic rivals to lovers poetry collection, but also it is told from the perspective of 2 English students. And if you guys have watched any of my uni vlogs or my weekly vlogs, you would know I am definitely not studying an English degree, not doing a major in English or anything related to English or creative writing. And my degree is in economics, which is all mathematics, and I do a lot of other subjects that relate to numbers. So I feel like that's a bit of a factor as to why I'm struggling, because all I'm doing is analytical stuff, so trying to get back into the creative mindset for these 2 characters is a little bit harder than it probably would have been when I first got this idea and when I was actually really excited to write it. So that's probably the reason why we're gonna like put Project Academia on the back burner until maybe next year in 2025. So this is one of the main goals that I really want to try to focus on. I have been filming a behind the scenes writing publishing experiment, whatever you want to call it, after being inspired by Becca C. Smith. She has like this 90-day experiment where she tries to write, market, cover design her book and all of that. So I did a bit of research, and I think I have spoken about this in a few other videos, but basically I'm calling it how long does it actually take to write, edit, publish and cover design for a book. So I'm kind of comparing it based on the statistics I found and also my own experiments. So I'm calling this project, or I nickname it the comparison project, but the project's title is currently Project Letters. And basically all I want to do, and there are quite a few goals in here, so the first thing I want to do is complete the first outline. I have the character profiles, the general storyline and brainstorm and plot all figured out, but I am a bit of a plantster, so I do need an outline, or at least a general outline, to kind of know where I'm going for the first draft. So that's my first goal that I really want to do, and I really want to try and smash it out in October. That would be like the most desirable kind of situation. The next thing I want to do is write draft 1. So if you did hear about this whole plan in another video, I did want to write draft 1 back in NaNoWriMo this year, but since there's a whole controversy with NaNoWriMo, I'm not going to go into it. There are many videos that you will be able to find, or just in your own research. But basically, instead of doing it for NaNoWriMo, I'm just going to attempt to write it whenever I can, because just having draft 1 done for that project would definitely be such a huge thing off my shoulders, and also it will definitely progress the experiment along, because I haven't touched that experiment for like probably a good few months now. So another thing I do want to try and get better at doing is taking a break in between each draft. So I'm going to take a break after writing draft 1, whenever that is going to be finished, And after the break, we're going to do the read through of draft 1 and also make read through notes so that I can figure out my developmental issues, especially because I'm a plantser, so that means I have a bit of an outline but it's not really concrete, and I like to, I guess, pants a little bit of the book, so a little plot hole can randomly wiggle through, and I will need to catch that in the read through, especially in the first one. And then after I do those read through notes, I like to make a second outline, and the second outline is my more concrete outline. Is where I kind of like know what's going to happen, and this is when I wrap up all those plot holes that I accidentally created in the first draft. So the second outline is more concrete, and I kind of follow it more step by step rather than with the first outline, which is just like, this can happen and then this is going to happen probably, and then we'll figure it out afterwards. So draft 1 for me in novel writing is definitely just like this is a very rough guide. You can do it if you want, but you can also completely deviate, whereas the second outline for the novels is like, you need to follow this strictly now. So after the second outline, I would love to write draft 2, and that includes revising, rewriting, and editing anything that I have found from draft 1 previously in the read through, and of course any issues that I did not want to fix back in draft 1 when I write it. So I want to do draft 2 entirely, and then of course after the draft 2 has been completed, I want to take another 2-week break. So really trying to build the habit and really trying to get into a good habit of giving myself breaks in between drafts for 2025. And then this is more of the hypothetical stuff, but I would love to do this as well. I want to read through draft 2 and obviously make the notes. And draft 2's read through is a little bit different for me. It's more like the making sure all the plot holes have been covered, but also kind of figuring out more of like the imagery and I guess more flowery kind of language stuff. So just adding in more techniques and all of that stuff to really entice the reader. So that's going to be draft 2's read through problem, and then we're going to work on draft 3. And for draft 3, I'm just really trying to make sure it's really strong in terms of like the developmental side and making sure the characters are being developed well enough, and also that there's no more like plot holes accidentally being created. So that's kind of draft 3's main focus, and I would really ideally like to find my beta readers prior to draft 3 being done, so that I kind of have like a deadline to work towards, and then I want to send draft 3 off to my beta readers. I always do this, like I always either send draft 3 or like a really polished version of draft 2, but usually it's draft 3. So I want to send draft 3 off to beta readers, and I want to give them some time into the new year so that I have a bit of a longer break than 2 weeks for this. So that's basically the generic plan for project letters. Do I actually think it's realistic? Maybe, maybe not, but if I was only just working on this project, definitely. But anyhow, that is my potential and hypothetical goal, but I really do want to just finish at least up to draft 2. So the next project is Project Wishes. You would have heard me talk about this in last month's goals videos or like reset video, and it is definitely a project I am upset that I did not end up getting around to, but I have hit a bit of a creative roadblock with Project Wishes. But I don't want to fully put this book on the back burner because it's just, I've already invested so much time, energy, and money into it. I do want to kind of see it through, but also it's kind of my experiment book. So I like really want to try and get through it, but we will see how that ends up going. What I do want to focus on writing wise only is I want to finish the first draft, and I want to take a break after that. After I finish the first draft and have my little break, I'm not so sure how long of a break I'm going to give myself. I'm probably going to make it a bit shorter just to kind of like keep the momentum going, because if I'm already struggling this much with draft 1, I don't want to know how much I'm going to struggle with draft 2, because draft 2 is like my least favorite draft out of every single draft I ever do. Like I could go 10 drafts into a book and I would not mind, but if I can't get past draft 2, then that book is not going anywhere. So after that, I need to read through draft 1, make notes, of course. And once again, my poetry and novel writing process is pretty similar. When I read through draft 1, I always just make developmental notes. And then we're going to write draft 2, revise, rewrite, edit, all of that stuff. And I just want to have a completed draft 2, and then we're going to kind of like just stop there. If I can manage to get through draft 2, for this project, I feel like it's going to be a lot more of a smooth sailing experience, and I'll be able to kind of put this experiment into place because that's all I really want to do. I would love to see where Project Wishes goes because I love the idea and like the premise of the book. It's probably not the right project for me right now because I am definitely preoccupied by like a lot of other book ideas and all those shiny new ideas that I really want to get into rather than the actual projects I told myself I was going to work on. And finally, the final writing goal I want to focus on is technically a 2-part goal, but it is for the To Be Loved series for the photographer component of this book. Photographer component or photographer book? I literally don't know how to refer to these books honestly, but the photographer, or rather To Be Loved by a Photographer, is going to be book 1. That has been completely settled. It is what I'm working on. It has been what I was working on in episode 1, which by the way is actually finished by now. So I don't know when that's coming out. I also have way too many videos in the works right now, so I want to try and get those videos out first so that it's kind of like just done and over with, because there are lots of videos right now in the behind the scenes that I'm being editing and also filming, so I just really want to get that done, and then I will probably release episode 1. But who knows, I am still planning on sticking to posting 2 videos a week, whatever that may be, but we will see. Who knows, I might end up changing to posting 3 times a week, but that may be unrealistic moving forward, and especially since I am doing a lot of writing, I want to try and focus more time and energy into my writing rather than making videos. So if that's completely understandable, making videos is just like a supplementary thing to my writing, and it's just for fun. But anyhow, tangent aside, let's go back to the goals for our To Be Loved by Photographer book. So we're going to talk about the novel first, and then we'll talk about the poetry later. But for the novel, I would love to complete the first outline. So in episode 1, I basically just did the premise and also the plot, character profiles, etc. So we haven't actually outlined the book, but I was thinking I want to do that in like its own episode. So whenever that is going to happen, it will happen. But we would need to basically have a first outline, then move on to goal number 2, which is to write draft 1. And of course, after I write draft 1, I want to take a break. Now, I also have no idea how long I want to make this break, but we will kind of have to go depending on how busy I am with all these other projects, because the To Be Loved series is kind of just like a for fun project. It's just like a passion project, but also it's a fun experiment publishing behind the scenes thing that I'm doing. So I don't know, like I said before in another video, I don't know if I'm actually going to publish these books or if these are just going to be for fun, or if I'm going to do something else with them, like put them up on my own website for free or whatever. But right now we're just gonna see where this goes. I just want to have fun with it, and that's basically the entire series for me, having fun and experimenting, kind of write a interconnected standalone series, I suppose. So after the break, we're going to have to do our read through of draft 1 and also the notes as well, and then I just want to also complete the second outline so that we don't really have so much to stress over when we move into the new year. And I kind of want to just start the new year off with draft 2. I was planning on including draft 2, but then I realized it wasn't really realistic since I do want to focus most of my attention on Project Letters and Project Wishes, but also the poetry collection of this book, which we're going to talk about right now. So we are finally up to the final mini goal, I suppose you could say, of this video, and that is the To Be Loved by Photographer poetry collection. So once episode 1 releases, this is obviously going to be a lot clearer, but I'm planning to make the To Be Loved series a bit of like a tandem read series where there's a poetry book and a novel book, but they also just stand alone completely, so you can just choose one or the other. And I understand that not a lot of people read poetry, so if you didn't want to read the poetry, it doesn't affect if you read the novel series. So for the poetry side, at least for the photographer book, I want to do draft 1. Once again, in episode 1, I did manage to basically do the basic planning and storyline of this poetry collection, so you will see all of that in draft 1, so we're not going to really delve into it. I want to just write draft 1, obviously have a break. No idea once again how long that break is, but it's probably going to be a lot shorter because for poetry I don't need as long of a break as I do with my novels. Then I want to read through draft 1 and also write, rewrite, revise, edit, etc. for draft 2, depending on how bad it actually is going to be. And I have a feeling this is going to be one of my most chaotic and needs the most amount of work when it comes to draft 2 poetry collections I've ever done, because after what happened in episode 1, there's no saying what's going to happen in the next couple episodes. So draft 2, and then I'm going to have a break, and then we're going to read through draft 2, and hypothetically I would love to write draft 3, find beta readers, and also send the draft to beta readers so that we can prepare for the new year. But that is more of a tentative kind of goal rather than I want to do this for certain kind of goal. So once again, depending on how draft 2 goes, I'm more than happy to just kind of stop at the end of draft 2 if that's where we end up with this book. But that is the basic plan for the To Be Loved by Photographer poetry series. And since I find it a lot easier to do poetry than obviously novel writing, since I've been doing that for many years now, I do want to try and smash out this poetry collection so that we have somewhat of a general basis to go off, and also it's going to be a lot easier when I do the tandem part of the series. That is all my goals for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and also let me know what your writing goals are. If you are not a writer, you can definitely just leave any of your other goals down below. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye!
Drive on by, they just can't deny, yeah, they wanna be like us. Na, 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 na. Goofy, playing tag in the jacuzzi.